In the celestial realm, Marduk, the supreme god, sensed the resurgence of an ancient darkness that threatened to consume the universe. Although mortals were fragile and ill-prepared, Marduk recognized the spark of resilience within them. Among all mortals, Ira, the legendary king of Babylon, had been the most remarkable. Once Marduk's champion, Ira wielded the Blazefrost celestial sword to protect humanity. Though Ira had long since passed, his memory reduced to myth, Marduk knew the rising evil required Ira's return. With sorrow and resolve, Marduk's voice echoed through existence, calling, "Ira, my son, it's time for you to wake up. Protect humanity." Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. William Foster was engrossed in his research on the Blazefrost celestial sword, a relic of inexplicable properties. His focus was shattered by urgent calls from two labs studying Ira's remains and the Black Iron Horse. The first researcher reported a miraculous phenomenon: Ira's bones were changing, flesh forming as if he were returning to life. Moments later, another call revealed similar activity in the remains of the Black Iron Horse. Disbelief gripped Foster, but he decided to investigate Ira's bones first. As the divine call rippled through existence, the barriers between the ancient past and present began to collapse, setting the stage for Ira's awakening. Dr. Foster rushed to the lab where Ira's remains were held, his mind racing with dread after receiving frantic calls about the impossible transformation taking place. The city around him blurred as he drove, the weight of the unknown pressing on him like a shroud. When he arrived, his research team greeted him with pale faces and trembling voices, their fear palpable as they led him to the containment room. The atmosphere grew heavier with each step. The air was icy, suffused with a malevolent energy. Foster hesitated at the door but forced himself to open it, driven by an unrelenting need to understand. Inside, he froze in shock. Ira's skeletal remains were transforming before his eyes. Ancient bones knitted together, and spectral flesh began forming, as if life itself was being drawn from the air to rebuild the once-dead king. The room's chill deepened, carrying the scent of death and something far older. Foster reached out to touch the flesh, finding it colder than death itself, the icy sensation spreading through him. As muscles formed and Ira's face took shape, his dark, void-like eyes opened, absorbing the light. Foster and his team stood paralyzed, grappling with the undeniable truth: something ancient and unnatural was awakening, defying all logic and comprehension. Dr. Foster stood paralyzed as Ira's skeletal remains began to stir, the once lifeless bones knitting together and drawing flesh from the very air. The hum of an unnatural resonance filled the lab, vibrating through the walls and into the observer's bones. Terror gripped Foster and his team as they watched the ancient king's resurrection unfold. Ira's transformation began subtly, a twitch of fingers, a shift of limbs, but quickly accelerated. Flesh wrapped over bones, muscles rippled beneath skin, and his chest began to rise and fall as breath returned. Black hair cascaded down his shoulders, and a regal beard framed his face. Crimson and gold robes materialized around him, adorned with symbols of his kingship: serpents, eagles, and stars, seemingly summoned by ancient forces. Foster's mind flashed to the legends of Ira, the hero king of Babylon, and the Blazefrost celestial sword. Was this resurrection part of a divine prophecy, or something darker? The room grew colder, shadows deepened, and a sense of suffocating dread engulfed the team. As Ira's eyes opened, void-like orbs reflecting nothing but darkness, Foster realized they had awakened a force far beyond their understanding. Standing on the edge of an abyss, the team faced the terrifying truth: the battle between light and darkness had begun, and they were caught in its path. As Ira's eyes fluttered open, the tension in the room peaked. The resurrected king's cold, detached gaze swept over the sterile laboratory, absorbing his unfamiliar surroundings. The scientists froze in fear, sensing the immense power emanating from him. One whispered, trembling, What have we done?" Dr. Foster, paralyzed by terror, could not respond. Ira's confusion was evident as he took in the strange devices and foreign language. When Foster cautiously asked, "Can you understand me?" Ira replied in commanding ancient Babylonian, "What sorcery has brought me here?" Though Foster could not understand his words, the authority in Ira's tone was unmistakable. Foster attempted to communicate through gestures, pointing to Ira and himself, saying, "You, me, talk." Ira watched, his expression inscrutable, trying to make sense of the gestures. Memories of battles and divine power stirred within Ira. The tension in the room thickened as Foster saw the change in the king's demeanor. Loneliness and frustration gripped Ira. His kingdom was gone, and he was alone in a strange, sterile world. Yet, Ira's unyielding will resurfaced. He surveyed the fearful faces and alien surroundings, resolved to forge his path in this new reality, no matter how incomprehensible it seemed. Dr. Foster cautiously stepped forward, determined to communicate with Ira. Gesturing to himself and his team, he said, "We want to help." Though Ira did not understand the words, the intent was clear. Help? In his past life, he had never needed the aid of mortals. But this world was no longer his, and he realized the rules had changed. Slowly, he nodded, a gesture of acknowledgement, though not agreement. The scientists, sensing the tension ease, relaxed slightly, though fear lingered in their eyes. They had awakened something ancient and powerful, and the consequences of their actions loomed large. Dr. Foster's curiosity drove him forward. Pointing to the king, he said, "Ira. You are Ira." The name resonated within Ira, familiar and grounding. He nodded again, accepting his identity as the king of Babylon, the warrior who had once defied gods and demons. Yet, as he stood in this unfamiliar world of machines and fearful men, he questioned his place. What was he now? Where did he belong? Ira and Foster faced each other, divided by time and understanding, but united by the weight of the unknown. In Ira's eyes, a spark of determination flickered. He had been resurrected for a purpose, and he resolved to uncover it. His story was far from over.